G'day walkers. Hello there. It's the bloke who walks, and I'm just going to fire up the video. There we go, we're off and running. So, welcome to the YouTube Creators Commentary, and this is actually the 12th one, would you believe it? Anyone who hasn't listened to these before, this is a YouTube Creator Commentary where I'm just verbalizing some thoughts as to why and how I go about creating these videos. And ostensibly, it's really just for me, just to lay down some thoughts, get them out of my head. I'm a big fan of directors' commentaries for any type of movie on DVD, and I figured, why not have a director's commentary for these videos? Because why not? Now the topic of this particular commentary is going to be stats. I'm going to tell you right now that I hate maths and I'm not a big fan of stats. so don't take me too seriously as to what I say about stats, because I don't like working with numbers. My first job out of school was 8 years hard labour in retail banking, working in 3 different branches across 8 years. First job out of school, and I've spent the rest of my adult life trying to be as far away from finance and working with numbers as possible. Anyway, so before I get on to stats, what I'm going to I just want to quickly do is explain a little bit about this particular video. And this video is the last in a series. I recorded 3 videos starting around about the end of October. Once I realised that I was going to concentrate on this, focus on this strategy of trying to create videos around cultural and sporting events in Melbourne. I've watched a lot of walking video content channels, and I don't want to be a guy who just walks aimlessly up and down a street and with no purpose. There's got to be a purpose. So once I realised that I could maybe define my channel and my walking video content, define my niche a little bit more by walking around places with defined sporting events, cultural events, like a meaning. And so I latched onto the idea of the Australian Open. Now, what I'm going to get into in the stats is the topic of the Australian Open is going to feature in the commentary about the stats. But this was the last of my planned videos that I wanted to capture about the Australian Open. I filmed, what was it, 4? The first video was walking from the Arts Centre in Melbourne, crossing the Yarra River, walking along the Yarra River, up through Birrarung Ma, the parkland there, and down into the Australian Open precinct. The second video was starting off at the west side of Melbourne and leaving accommodation on the west side of Melbourne, catching a tram through the centre of the city in the last week of stage 4 hard lockdown here in Melbourne, and then walking to another tram and catching that tram down to Melbourne Park. The third video was again walking to the Melbourne Park precinct, all trying to capture the spirit of what is it like to travel from the inner city of Melbourne to the Melbourne Park precinct, to try and give a sense of, look how easy it is for an international visitor to enjoy the tennis tournament. It's so integrated and linked to public transport. It's easy to walk to. And this video is the 4th and the last one where I decided to start at the show court and walk from the Melbourne Park precinct and walk to another destination through the Melbourne Cricket Ground parkland, Yarra Park, and just show how easy it is to walk to yet another public transport destination. You know, that you can get back to the city a different way, or you can catch that particular train line out to the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. So that was my four picks, and it didn't take me long to film these. This particular video was filmed on the morning of the 27th of October. So isn't that interesting that it's taken me pretty much November, December. It's taken me 3 months? November, December. Bloody hell, it's taken me 3 months. It's taken me 3 months to publish and edit these videos to YouTube. Now, in the meantime, I've done a few different things. I've broken them up into segments. I've done, of course, these commentaries. So there's 4 commentaries. And I also created a 5th full-length video where it was just tennis courts. So show court 2, show court 3. Now, before we finish, I'm just wandering around the court here. Quite happily, show court 3. It's early in the morning, and I deliberately wanted to capture a morning that was, you know, the weather was good, and I'm just enjoying a cup of tea while I'm going, so excuse me. And I deliberately wanted to capture the good weather because the sunrise and the sunset over the Melbourne Park precinct, well, it's and how good is that? I mean, can you imagine rolling up to the tennis at 11 o'clock in the morning for start time 11 o'clock, and maybe you get there when the gates open at 9:30, and you've got all this to enjoy, and you can hear the birds chirping in the background, and a special shout out to my sound effects editor, me. You'll hear some you'll hear some sound effects in the background, and it's live action. What happened the day before I filmed this video? A bloke came to the court by himself, and he just started practicing his serve in front of a mobile phone, mind you. Was he live streaming? I don't know. And I just accidentally recorded the sound of him serving. So what I did in the editing was that I chopped up. I think I accidentally recorded about 8 to 9 serves, and they're all different, you know, strength and velocity. And I just chopped it up and put them back to back and back to front. And there was a bit of grunting from him and me, accidental. Me, and it came out perfect. It sounds like a doubles match. So I'm patting myself on the back there with that one because I figured, why not? Why can't I have a bit of fun with it? That gives it that sound, and that's literally the sound that you would hear if you were there watching any top 10 player. Singles, doubles, men's, women's. That's exactly what it would sound like. So that's the other thing I did with this video, which I didn't really plan to do, but when I started editing, I thought, why not? That's that's one of my main creative strategies. Sometimes when I get to the editing, I often have just a gut feeling, and I just go with it. So the commentary over the top of this footage has already been published in the 5th video, which I did, that when it was announced on the 2nd of December, it was announced in the press, in the media, but not yet officially announced by Tennis Australia. When it was in the media and announced, and it was a big news story, that these were the strict quarantine player restrictions that players, if they wanted to come to Australia, if they wanted to come to Melbourne, if they wanted to compete, this was what they were going to have to do, and these were the conditions they were going to have to comply with. Well, I went down to Show Court 2. It was the day before I filmed this, maybe, and I just walked around the empty grandstand of Show Court 2 and recorded myself into camera, and also some footage of the empty stand. And that became a reaction video. And then I thought, when I was editing this, I thought, well, hang on a second, I've already published this walking around Show Court 3 as a separate video, which was just meant to be, just one video of on court like this, Show Court 3, and then also in the grandstands of Show Court 2 plus the practice courts. That's a single video that was published last week. And I thought, well, just to chop it up a bit, why not run the commentary as audio over the top of this footage with the same titles and credits, and here starts Fair Bait, City of Melbourne implications. So I went with that, and then I love that. I tried bending down and crouching and walking at the same time, and I think it came off. And I would have done it more, except I got lazy. Anyway, then I chopped up the audio and placed it specifically at the end of this particular video. But I think it worked. Please tell me if you don't think it works, or please tell me if you think I'm cheating. But the idea is that, so let's segue slightly into stats from here on in, because we're about to leave the court anyway. That what I've noticed in my stats is that definitely when I don't have many repeat viewers at the moment. Like my unique viewers is hovering around 1.8, barely 1.9 consistently. So people aren't really coming back once they watch a video. They're not really coming back. Which means that they're definitely not going through my library of content, and I've got about 105 videos published now, which is not a bad effort, I figure, for 3 months of
Welcome to Melbourne, Australia.
life for this channel.
I'm the bloke who walks.
Sorry, I'm just drinking tea.
Which is a talking video, not a walking video.
And I know for sure that people aren't, they're not diving into my content library and going back to other videos. So I figure, based on my driving philosophy, which is create something once, sell it many times, will create one video, publish it many times in different forms. So all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the footage and the videos work as hard as they possibly can. Like, I've gone to the effort of filming, I've gone to the effort of getting up early, getting in there, walking around by myself with the camera, filming filming an empty Melbourne park. So I want to make sure that this footage gets seen, and I'm not really too concerned. But if you do think that I'm, following the wrong strategy, or you've got a bee in your bonnet that you've seen this video footage before, well, you haven't seen this before. This is the only time you'll see this footage of me ascending this particular entrance to Margaret Court Arena. But I just want to give my efforts the best possible chance of return on investment of time and energy and motivation, because here's where we're going to segue into stats, and it's not going to be a happy monologue from here on in about stats, because I want to make sure that if my stats aren't growing the way I would like them to. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything possible that the stats, if they're not where I thought they might be or would like them to be, or they can be, well, at least I know that I've done my level best in the filming and the editing with these commentaries. I'm before I get into stats, I'm just going to say again, and I've said this in other commentaries, like I'm working within my technical limitations. Like you you'll be able to tell that I've got a camera that does the basics. It doesn't have the latest bells and whistles. It's just a digital handheld camera that's, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's built to take snapshots. It's got video and audio function, but clearly, that's not what it's built for. But I'm working with what I've got. And the reason I'm working with this is because I can't yet afford to upgrade to a basic Sony vlog camera or a Canon camera that has similar same abilities or capabilities. So until that time, like I actually don't want another camera. Like I've had this camera for maybe 7 to 8 years, and it does the job. Like I've filmed a whole entire web series using this camera. I've got 45 to 50 hours of footage, and that footage is now being published on another channel called This Public Transport Life, about trains, and it does the job. But I know, unfortunately, the editing software that I've got, it doesn't seem to render the footage into. It's got a stabilization function, Filmora, but it just doesn't work the way I would like it to. Same way that the Windows Movie Maker software had a stabilization feature, which was very easy to use. But Filmora, for all its bells and whistles, I just can't see it doing the same job, so I'm not using it. So I think the technical limitations are hurting my stats. But up until so we're going to I'm going to segue heavily into stats, and that's what it'll be from now on. So as a YouTube content producer, I'm at the moment, as of today, and today being the 28th of January 2021, it's about 10 past 6. I am experiencing a existential uh, crisis at the moment, crisis of content. That my stats were growing until about the third or fourth week of January. There was a really steady, encouraging, um, uh, steady and encouraging is the best words I can find for the growth of my stats. That I was getting up to anywhere between 20 to 26, 27 views. Um, Actually, I'll do a custom now. Um, the stats I started in the first week of October, and like I didn't. All I wanted to do was just publish, get up to 50 videos really quick. So I'm just gonna do my stats from say the 1st of October to January 13, and I was getting where is it? I was getting oh, I can't even interpret these. I had 109 views. That doesn't sound right. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Oh. Anyway, I've done it for the wrong channel. All right, hang on a second. sorry about this. This is this is very unprofessional. This is very unprofessional. I should have had this already, but you know, I'll just go with the flow here. Um, we're only we're only at the 20-minute mark of the video anyway, so just chat amongst yourselves. there's another there's another half an hour to go, I'm pretty sure. So all right, let's do this. So custom, we're going to go from the 1st of October to about the 13th of we'll go the 8th of January. So um, uh, now, so just trying to look for the daily count. So uh, it's not okay. All right. So what I wanted it to show me was the average number of views per day, and I can't find it. See, I'm not great with numbers. I can't find a way to make it spit it out. So um, anyway, so all right, forget about that. But so in your real-time stats update, you know, it says how many views last 48 hours. Well, I was consistently building up to around 20, 22, sometimes going back into the, but by January, the 8th, 9th of January, I was regularly hitting the high teens, staying in the high teens, building up to the high 20s, suddenly getting into the 30s. And then I had one particular day, I'm just got the cup of tea here, sorry. Um, there was a particular day in the first week of January where I suddenly went up in a day and a half. I shot up from 32, which was up 35 was my high, and then suddenly I was 41, and then all of a sudden I was 52. Now, I will be transparent in that I published a video which was an extract of footage from one of my most popular video, and I'm going to do this again where I'm going to publish a few videos that are extracts of footage from my best performing videos, um, and that proved to be really successful. But I had to temper my I was I was refreshing the screen every 5 seconds. It was pathetic. But I quickly worked out that it was the one person just kept watching the same video for about nearly 2 days straight. And I quickly realised that these stats weren't going to be sustainable. But at the same time, I was saying to myself, well, once the stats recede back into normal territory, like I'm probably, you know, I was saying to myself, well, 20 is the new 0, 25 is the new 10, and guess what? Oh, it's not. So I'm having a bit of a crisis at the moment. My stats, for the last, definitely for the last week, I've been sinking consistently below 10 views over 2 days, and I just cannot fathom it. I cannot work it out. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, or I don't know whether this is uh, just a drop that everyone experiences from time to time. I don't know. Um, in the last week, though, I have noticed that with uh, the with the stats, the views being so minimal, the engagement has been encouraging. Where the CTR has actually been really good on a couple of days, and the engagement has been okay, and the watch time has been similarly okay. But yeah, it's really playing with my confidence. Like my confidence has been very low for the last week and a half because, you know, after 3 months of really dedicated, motivated content producing, content creation, going out at you know, very early mornings, or traveling to a particular destination, and then spending, you know, very long hours creating these videos, which, you know, the reason I've decided to focus on a walking content channel is because, you know, the idea was when I started out, well, how easy is this? I just record, stitch the footage together, chuck in a couple of titles, but it has proved to be a lot more time consuming than I anticipated. It hasn't given me any grey hairs because my hair is grey. But um, the frustration part doesn't bother me because even when I'm sitting there carrying on like a pork chop, and I, I have done that a lot, but I know the reason I carry on and I get frustrated is because I care about what I'm doing. Like I have a great deal of pride about what I'm doing, and I'm trying to do it the best I can, and I'm trying to integrate the tips that I've picked up along the way, the skills that I've been developing, the strategies that I've got in my head. And so for the stats to suddenly, well, for the bottom to fall out of the stats in the last week and a half, like it really does mess with your head. It really does mess with your confidence. And the subscriber count uh, is also not very encouraging. Um, there's not many comments. There's a lot of likes actually. I've got to be fair that I've I've got I've got a library of about 105 videos published so far in 3 months, and I've got about between 30 and 38 likes at last count, and they're all thumbs up. Like I've got 100% satisfaction in terms of likes. I've had no negative comments, but I've only got about four or five comments on this channel since October. Um, but they're all positive comments. So you know when you try to look at the big picture like this, and this channel, and I've said it before in other commentaries, but this channel is an acquired taste. It doesn't purely mimic or replicate um, the really successful, and I've been bookmarking them, the really successful walking video content channels that I've that got me onto this, that I saw in the first place. And so I try not to beat myself up too much at the stats. They're pretty they're pretty Oh, I won't swear because there might be kids listening or teenagers, but they're very disappointing. And to go backwards, it really has set my confidence. Not back. I suppose you would say that I'm a bit down about it, but because you can only say to yourself so many times, well, I haven't got the world's best camera, I haven't got the world's best audio, um, I'm not stabilizing the footage when I edit it. I've to keep my productivity really high throughout the editing process. Um, I've decided to forego. I'm not making as big an effort as I used to mitigate the sound of wind into the microphone, the inbuilt microphone. Um, and so here's where I'm trying to be honest with myself about maybe why the stats, because I'm just waiting for them to pick up again, and they're just not. So there's two reasons. Like the first reason, and it goes without saying, the most obvious reason is that the footage is not a high standard, the sound is not a high standard, so that's a given. So you can't really blame that because I'm working within my limitations. I'm working with what I've got, and I think I'm happy with my camera, um, even if the audience isn't. So we'll discount that as a reason for 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 the stats being not where I'd like them to be. But what's another reason? Well, and something that just suddenly crossed my mind before I started recording is, and you've already heard me mention it, is that all of the footage that I recorded for the Australian Open, I basically did it within 3 days. at the end of November. I recorded on, I think it was I think I did it on the 20. I think I did it on. Let me just double check. Right. I just got to put these into date order. But I did all this between the 22nd of October, the 27th of October, and the 22nd of October and the 27th of October. So it only took me 4 days and 4 dedicated, recording days to get the footage. But it's taken me over 3 months. It's just ticked over 3 months. It's taken me to publish, those 4 videos, and then I've split them up into segments. And it occurred to me today, just before I started this commentary, is that maybe my audience, maybe the audience is a bit sick of Australian Open content. I was hoping that the fact that I was focusing on the Australian Open, because when I started recording this footage, I didn't know that the Australian Open. Well, we didn't actually know it was going ahead, to be honest, when I started recording, and it wasn't a given. It wasn't a given that there'd be crowds or it'd go ahead. And I would have thought that people would be searching for this sort of content. Well, yes, they have, but what I've come to realise, and this is about the stats again, is looking into the search terms within the stats, is that yes, people are looking for this. They're looking for content about the Australian Open, but um, it's quite possible that the people, when they type in a search for Australian Open, sorry, I gotta get rid of that cup of tea. When they type in a search term for this Australian Open, when they come up with a search result that involves my video content, it's not the type of content about the Australian Open they want. So they don't want to see content. Some bloke walking around empty tennis courts at Melbourne Park, and at this point in the footage, I've just poked the camera through the gates at the National Tennis Centre, and there's no one playing, and so they're tapping out of the video very quickly within the first 5, 12, 20 seconds. Because let's face it, empty tennis courts, it's not very, it's not very, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not very engaging content, is it? But I mean, let's be honest. Like, I did get a great comment from a couple of young fellas in England that they saw the reaction video, and they just couldn't believe how easy it was to walk around Melbourne Park, and their comment literally was, how good would it be walking around the Australian Open, watching all their favourite tennis players. So I know I'm on the right track. Like, I know that there's an audience for this content. I really do. I'm a firm believer. But come on, YouTube, you've got to give it a chance. So maybe this is a good point to segue into something else I found out about the stats. That like I wasn't really taking a huge interest in the stats in the first couple of months, and when I started publishing, this dedicated content around the Australian Open, then I started, looking into the search terms. Well, when the stats really started, the bottom started falling out. I started getting really interested in the stats and making myself look at them, and I couldn't work out why because by this stage, by the first week of January, I'd tweaked a lot of my old thumbnails, and I've tweaked some titles of my videos up to 3 times. The ones that weren't performing at all, that had maybe 1 to 5 views, or they had a lot of views, but people were tapping out. They weren't even watching 30 seconds. And when I started seeing stats of people were watching 30 seconds after I'd tweaked thumbnails and titles, or one or the other, or both, I saw that people were watching 30 seconds, but then they were tapping out after 45 seconds or 2 minutes. I was thinking, well, I'm doing something right, because I've watched certain content creator tip videos from different influencers or people with big channels, and they've said, you got to concentrate on the first 30 seconds. Well, I was thinking, well, all right, well, they're staying for 30 seconds and then they're tapping out. But then after the first week of January, like, I really started delving into, well, why suddenly aren't I getting any seemingly, I had a gut feeling that suddenly people weren't looking for walking video content, videos, that those search terms just weren't driving viewers to the channel, because for some reason maybe they weren't looking anymore. um, and and I thought, oh, I've got to look into this. So I spent a bit more time than usual in the analytics, much to my dismay, because I'll just repeat that stats and numbers aren't my go. But I started going into the function that really lets you delve into the impressions. And what I saw, and I've never seen this in a uh, how-to video from any of the channels that I've been, adapting or adopting, or looking for tips from. But I've never. I mean, we all know that YouTube wants you to retain viewers. But here's my point, and we're 37 minutes in. This is the main point of the commentary, and if you're still listening, God love you. I've probably lost the audience by now, but here's my thing that I discovered in the analytics, is that how can a content creator retain an audience if the audience isn't being presented with the video in the first place? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, so what I found was that when I create a analytics extraction for my library of videos, and you put it, you sort it into the order of most impressions by video. So my most popular videos might have, or my most popular and my most recent videos are up the top of the pile, and at the moment they might be getting presented in, and I'm talking about one day, okay, one day. So the most recent video published might be getting 180 to low 200 impressions in one day. And then it goes down suddenly to 75, suddenly to 50, suddenly to 20, 10. And in the top 10, most impressions, all of a sudden it's down to like 7, 8. And then the bulk of my video content library that's been published is in the single figures, anywhere between 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then it only presents you with the top 50 video published in that particular screen. So you've got to download a report, which I haven't done. But I imagine there's a lot of my videos, excuse me, that simply are not being impressed upon somebody's screen regardless. Now, I don't I don't know that that's I don't know that is fair is the wrong word. Well, I think it's a bit of a cop out, to be honest. I've published videos of all sorts of lengths, from anywhere between my micro teaser trailers, which are a form of promotion. They're mostly 44 to 49 seconds long, deliberately. Um, a couple of micro teasers are 90 seconds long. The regular teasers, anywhere between 2 minutes 20 to 4 minutes, and then you get into the more regular length, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, and then there's the ones that are around about low 20s, 25, and then I've got videos like this. I anywhere around the 45-minute mark, the 1 hour mark. I've got one video which is 1 hour 30, and I'm publishing a video hopefully next week, which is going to be a monster. It's going to be about 2 hours. Now I'm deliberately mixing it up because that's what this channel is. I'm not interested in publishing one 10-minute video every week or every fortnight or even every day. The content in the video will tell me how long it should be, just like a song, or a short story within a certain amount of word limit. So that really surprised me. So I was really surprised was the first word. The second word, disappointed. I was really disappointed. And then I was thinking, hang on a second, like nobody ever talks about this. Like nobody, like how do impressions come together? And if you go into your analytics, and I'll do it right now, if you go into your analytics and you go into the reach, and you see the impressions, and you go down to that right hand side of the screen, it says impressions and how they led to watch time, and under the total figure, then it's got a percentage from YouTube recommending your content. Now, how does YouTube work out that figure? I mean, we all know about the algorithm. We all know that you've got to retain viewers, but like, how does, especially when you're starting your channel? So, how did YouTube know to promote? Actually, we can draw it up. So, say in the first week, so let's say the first week of October. Let's just go the first 3 days of October. So YouTube was put up 72 impressions. So how did they? Oh, here it is. No, how did they know to put up 72 impressions when my channel was first up and running? So we'll do it for a week, and now it's got 1.6 from 190 impressions. YouTube recommending your content, 1.6%, 190 impressions. So how does YouTube? You can increase the chance of YouTube suggesting your content, but so how does YouTube know to only recommend my video with one impression a day? So how the hell, as a content producer or creator, do you and I increase our viewership when it's only showing once a day across the entire internet and YouTube platform? That's separate from Google searches and whatever. So I've got a beef with that. I've got a beef with that. Like, is it all mathematical? Is it that YouTube's going to say to itself, well, based on previous videos of this length, regardless of the fact that this is new content, we're only going to, after a week, we're going to drop it from 180 impressions a day to 1. So that's how I see the stats. Now, I haven't seen any, and they're everywhere, all these people making videos about how to increase your watch time, how to attract people, how to do your thumbnails, what titles to have. But I haven't seen a single, and I've been looking for them. I haven't seen a single video, and even from YouTube, I know that they've got creative videos. So I'm still at a loss as to why the impressions are so low every day. Anyway, so that's the stats. It's been messing with my head. You know, after you know, three is it 3 October, November, December? Well, we're nearly 4 months. 4 months I've been doing this. You know, 5 days a week, sometimes five and a half, a few times 6 days a week, to put up all these videos. And I the only thing that I've changed in terms of publication, and sorry, if you're listening to this, if you've tuned into this commentary expecting the commentary to match the footage, we just finished crossing the bridge from the National Tennis Centre into Yarra Park, and the MCG is behind those trees. And I came across so few people out walking, and I literally that bridge is so narrow that I did have to stop to let the cyclists through. And I know for sure, like one of the things about my video content up until this point is, you know, that the scenes are very empty, and I'm not hiding that fact. Like I'm not going to contrive to make a video um, that is dishonest. Like I've gone out to record, you know, the footage, the scenery, the you know what's going on. This was recorded. It was the first week and a half out of really hard lockdown. There was hardly anyone around. It was early in the morning. People were still working from home. That's changed a tiny bit. There's a few more people out and about on the trains and the public transport, and but really, um, uh, workplaces are still restricted to only 25% of their capacity. Um, so I know that that's a factor, but at the same time, like I think that's a plus. I'm assuming that there's many people living overseas who've travelled to Australia to be tourists or live here or study here. I'm trying to appeal to the international student market as well with this content. Um, there's people that want to see what's going on in Melbourne on the ground. Um, and there's people who want to see, you know, maybe they've never been here, and I'm imagining that they would like to see the outside of the MCG and what it looks like, and what the parkland is, or what the tennis centre looks like when there's no crowds, or you know, because the main broadcast media, you know, when they're showing the tennis, like the last thing they're going to show is, you know, people just walking around the precincts. Um, so that's another factor with the stats, I think. Possibly is that one of the reasons that I'm not attracting a lot of viewers is because there's just simply not much life in Melbourne. And what little life there is, you can see it's just people just going about their business as best they can under this. We're living in such, and that cyclist nearly took me out there. Thanks, mate. No bell, no buzzer, no warning. Just suddenly appeared out of my peripheral vision, and he was gone. There's just not that much going on now. I can't present Melbourne any better or worse than what it is, except for the weather and the scenery. So I know that's another reason for the stats. I think, you know, I'm just grabbing at thin air in terms of, well, you know, why are the stats so low? Why isn't this channel growing? Like, what is it that I'm not yet doing that is not yet um, uh, getting me some really good traction with this content. So um, I don't know is the short answer. I don't know what to do next. I'll just I'll just pause my train of thought while I'm talking in that I have a video coming up which is going to be nearly 2 hours long. And again, that will be broken down into segments, but the commentary for that video is going to address, well, it's actually, if you go into my channel, actually, if you go into my channel, and you go to my page which says discussion, that's not what I wanted. Where is it? If you go into the discussion page, I'll go to swap again. If you just bear with me, just chat amongst yourselves. We've still got about 10 minutes left of this particular video footage. And look, if you've tuned into this, looking for me to commentate on the footage as I was filming it, I'm so sorry. Like that's not the object of these commentaries. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. I mean, what you see is what you get. And I've this is the 11th commentary that I've done, and I've addressed my filming technique, my editing technique, my strategy, my content strategy, my audience strategy, my editing strategy, uh, lots of things about the footage I've commentated on in other videos. So if you do want to know, you know, my approach to what's unfolding in front of the camera, you'll have to go through my other commentator videos. Now we've still got a good 10 minutes left, which this will give me a chance to give you a heads up about what I intend to commentate on. And this does relate to stats. So even though I'm not talking about stats right at this second, pure stats, I've been trying to build my stats up to this point based on a whole lot of tips that I've picked up off a few different channels. I don't go looking specifically for lots of different channels to get lots of tips. I mean, what I've found is that the people are basically, if they're big channels with big followings, big subscriptions, they get a lot of views. They get a lot of comments in the thousands for different videos, and people are, you know, well, I've been there and done that. So, like I'm also learning as I go, and I'm pretty confident that what I'm doing is hitting a lot of you know, the recommended ways of going about things. But about 2 weeks ago, I watched yet another video by a bloke whose channel I do like watching. But what I found is that this bloke, and I won't name him, but I have put a link to his channel in the discussion tab, and you can find it. And I found, I've got the hiccups now suddenly. Sorry, I'm gonna push on. And we've got about, I think we've got about maybe another 6-7 minutes left, so I should get through this. But this is all to do with stats, and I've been trying to build my stats by following tips. And this bloke is responsible for a lot of the tips. And I put a comment up on his video that says, "Get more views. Big YouTubers do this. Do you?" Now, I find that this guy repeats himself a lot in a lot of his videos. Now that's not a problem, okay? But I figure it sort of occurred to me when I watched this video that I've heard him say a lot of these things before, and I figured, well, if you're going to be one of those people with a channel where you're going to give tips on how to build, you know, views and content, like there's only so many times you can say the same thing. You're just saying the same thing a different way. And I put down a fairly big comment, and I've commented before, and I wasn't negative, but I was just trying to be honest. Anyway, he deleted my comment very soon after I published it, and I thought, well, bugger you. I'll just post it here, so you'll see that in a future commentary, maybe the next one, I'm going to go through a whole lot of tips that I've come across that people have recommended to, grow your channel extra fast, extend your watch time, do this, do this. So some of these tips, add a countdown timer, add value, promise a tip, make the first 30 seconds count, work with what you have, execute interesting edits in the video, drive your new channel quickly to 50 videos. Now, I've done all this, and you will see that as of today, the date of recording, the 20th of January, I've only got 11 subscribers after 4 months. I've only got 11 subscribers after 4 months, and I followed all these tips, and I've implemented these tips. I've integrated them into different videos, different ways. So again, I go back to my stats and I say, well, why aren't my stats reflecting the growth? The growth. And I'm not going to say these people have promised and failed to deliver, but I am going to say, and if you're starting out just like me, or if you've been going a while and you're getting a bit confused by your stats, just like me, well, maybe these people aren't being so honest about, what happens when you implement these tips. And I'm going to say that it's a mixture, because I've been around the block. I've been around the block in life a few times, and I've spoken in this video that the camera and the audio are possibly holding me back. The YouTube algorithm is possibly holding me back, but at the same time, maybe there's an element of realism that needs to come to play into the equation, that as much as you can implement all of these recommendations into creating your content, that maybe you're not going to see an instant growth in your channel by way of subscriptions or watch time or click-through rate. Now, I'm going to add in a comment that could be construed as poor me or controversial, or but I mean, let's face it, I've noticed that. All right, so I'll quickly talk about some of the other tips. Now, some other tips that I've come across from really huge YouTube channels is they say, oh, you've got to have a script prepared. I don't. You've got to talk really fast, and you've got to come across as knowledgeable. Well, I'm knowledgeable, but I don't talk really fast. Because the reason my delivery is like this is because I'm having a conversation. I'm imagining that someone is sitting down listening to me, and looking me in the eye, like the old face-to-face interaction. Um, uh, Now let's face it, and this isn't poor me, but it's a lot easier to attract viewers when you're a young, mid-20s, attractive, well-presented female. No brainer, because it's a visual medium. Now, I'm 54, white, Caucasian, middle-aged. I'm not an oil painting. I'm not. Bringing much to the table in terms of looks. I'm not. I'm coming from a different place. That I'm not opinionated. I'm not here to talk with any sort of controversy, or the footage of Melbourne is the selling point of this channel. So, you know, despite implementing a lot of the tips, and I'm gonna talk about them. It might be in the next one or two, within the next one or two videos that I publish, that I'll get round to running through this list of. Well, there's where is it? Lost them now. They go. Anyway, there's there's maybe 12 to 15 tips that I've at some stage implemented or tried to integrate into my content, and I'm just not seeing that growth. So maybe I just need to be, and here we're heading into the credits now. We're just on the other side of Jolimont Station, but maybe it's just a case of you've just got to grind, and you've got to just keep on keeping on, and maybe it just takes time to hit that sweet spot and find your audience. And I know that there's an audience for this channel. I know it. I know there's people. I know that there's people want to see this content, and we're just hitting into my teaser trailer about why this channel exists. And again, I'm not scared to put in content that's already been published, because this is me trying to sell myself, basically. Sell this channel. Like, why should you be interested in the content of this channel, and what is it about? So why not put it in again? But yeah, maybe maybe I've spent a little bit too much time focusing on the Australian Open. So what I've decided to do is I'm not going to change my strategy of having master videos that are an hour long, an hour and a half long, and then breaking them up into segments. But what I'm going to do a bit more is I'm going to sprinkle the content into the future. So by that I mean is that I'm not going to publish a whole lot of content about the same subject 1 week after the other, because I've gone from publishing 3 videos a week. That's the only change I can think of that might have affected the stats. I've gone from publishing 3 videos a week in the first 2 up from the 1st of October up until Christmas. I hit the 50 video mark. I've decided to distribute the mix of content a bit more deliberately into the future. So I'm going to post date a lot of video segments of the same topic. So say for instance, I've got one main video ready to publish in the next couple of weeks about the Australian Grand Prix, and I was dead keen to take advantage of the Australian Grand Prix and make sure I had some video content up before they announced any change to the date, which they've done. It's been postponed as of last week to November, and I missed that. I wanted to have my video up and running by the time they announced whether it was set to go ahead or set to be postponed. I've missed that, but I'm still going to publish that content. But when I break it up into segments, I'm going to sprinkle that content, that segmented content, through the calendar. So it might there'll be a segment in March, there'll be a segment in June, there'll be a segment in September, and I'm going to make sure that I don't tire out the viewers with the same topic, basically. So I'm going to mix it up. So I'm not going to worry too much about getting the content out exactly the time around. I'm not going to saturate people's screens with the same type of content. So we're winding up. We're into an hour and 5 minutes. If you've listened to even a third of this hour, hats off to you, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and thank you for just caring enough to come with me on this commentary journey. And we're watching the same video content that's already been published in a previous video, which was the announcement video about the tournament player restrictions. I'm incredibly proud of this ending, actually, where I've used this footage to highlight the different topics that are coming up through the sporting and cultural calendar. Look, I'm the bloke who walked. This has been This Walking Life, the YouTube creative commentary for This Walking Life. I really appreciate you listening. I hope you come back again, and I really hope you subscribe and do leave a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Oh, so here's the logos. This is all brought to you by me.
We apologise for any inconvenience caused.